Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Young from Optrics Engineering, and with me I have Shaun, our Technical Services Manager. And one thing that we do quite well is we work with our clients on training them on the software that they use, as well as help them implement it in their environment. One of the popular tools that we work with our clients on is ManageEngine Desktop Central, which is a central way to provide remote patching, as well as provide remote technical support. We had one of the users that you work with had an interesting question for you surrounding how do you make sure that specifically with the conferencing software like Adobe Connect, Zoom, Join Me, GoToMeeting, that type of thing, RingCentral, how do you make sure everyone is on the same version? Because specifically with this software, there are some things that cause the classic battle, as you put it, between security and convenience with respects to software installs. You've put together a very nice response to the client, which I thought would be worth sharing with everyone. So why don't you go through the scenario and how you would suggested that they solve it?
Okay. So the problem is that these manufacturers of screen sharing software, meeting software, WebEx or webinar software, what they have had to do over the years is, because one of the best security practices is that the user sitting at the desktop does not have an admin level account, i.e. they can't install software on their own, is that these manufacturers have come up with a way of installing the app temporarily. And I'll say temporarily because it does tend to run from there or install permanently, but it's done out of a particular user's own user profile. So the problem is now you've got all sorts of installs of umpteen different versions if more than one person has sat down at that computer. How do you get everybody up to the latest supported and secure version of that software? So if I go and I share my screen, I can give you an example of that. So here I've used Desktop Central to create a report, a custom report that just says, find any software that's installed that has the word Zoom in it. So we're going to get a couple of different things in here. We've got RingCentral meetings, but you can see for the most part, it is Zoom video communications, the same software we're using for our demonstration today. But as you can see, the versions are all over the place. Version 3.5, version 5.5, version 5.4. So how do we get them so that they're no longer in a individual users directory and are now installed by the service? Well, to do that, we just need to come over here to the software deployment portion. And I've already done this, but ManageEngine makes it quite nice in that they provide us with literally thousands of templates on how to install software. But if I go to packages, I can do a quick search in here for Zoom. And you'll see that we've got quite a few different versions. Every time a new version comes out, you get a new version here. But if I scroll through, I can see that the latest version is going to be this one here at the bottom. And then I can choose to install the software on a computer. Comes up with a configuration very quickly. And I get to decide when do I want to install it. So I could schedule this so that it would happen after hours, but I can also do this 24/7. And then I choose where. Now I can do it into the entire organization, or I can choose to filter it down by a particular site or computer. And for example, I believe Sales 2 was one that had a slightly older version. So I could do that. And then I just choose to deploy it. So I'm going to hit deploy immediately. This is triggering the agent that's installed on the computer to actually go out and install the software. After a few minutes, this will go from yet to apply to in progress and then succeeded. And yeah, here we go, where it's already in progress. And assuming that the person doesn't actually have Zoom running at that point, they will get the latest version. Now, in my testing, really old versions of Zoom, like version 3.5, they were not automatically updated, but anything from about Zoom 4.0 and on, when you installed the 5.6, it went in and it said, oh, I know how to uninstall 4.0, so I'll uninstall it, replace it with 5.6, and everything was happy. And in fact, we can see that that has succeeded already. So now if we go to the inventory of this particular computer, it might take a minute for it to update the inventory in the centralized database, but typically we can come over here to the inventory software tab very quickly, wait for it to populate, and then we can do a search for Zoom. And it hasn't updated yet, but it will at some point show that we only have that one version. At the very least, we know that the older version of Zoom, the version 5.0, has been uninstalled. Okay. So that was the biggest problem that they were running into, was we want it to be not a per user install, but a centrally managed install. And how do we update it so if it's an older version? And ManageEngine's Desktop Central makes it very easy to do.
Now, one thing that you also recommended is that that Zoom has a utility called Clean Zoom, which deletes all software related to Zoom. So you could run it prior to updating Zoom to make sure that there aren't any artifacts there. Or do you need to do that with Zoom, or sorry, with Desktop Central, following the process that it does?
If we had a lot of the version 3.5 or older than 4.0, then Clean Zoom would be a good utility to use to completely wipe out all Zoom software and then start fresh. But in this case, because it's a supported version, we don't have to worry about that.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah. Now this would be the same thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Zoom. We use Zoom as the example here, but you'd also need to potentially audit your scripts to see if this would work for them for other things like Adobe Connect, Join Me, RingCentral, etc.
Correct, yes. And the software that Desktop Central has is flexible enough that we can do pre-execution scripts. So we could trigger on an install of the latest version, run that clean Zoom uninstall prior to it if need be.
Perfect. And one thing, subtlety that I noticed when you were creating the package is that rather than do it per user, you basically said no on the computer. So if you have multiple users on the same computer, for example, if you're running a call center or whatever reason why you'd have multiple users using the same computer, this would make sure no matter who the user was, that computer had the correct version.
Correct, yes.
Excellent. Anything else you wanted to discuss about this specific topic?
No, just that this makes it a lot easier than having to remote into each and every computer, especially when you've got tens or hundreds of computers, and uninstalling per user and then reinstalling and having to do it as a whole evening or weekend. We all want to have our weekends free.
Absolutely. Now, I would imagine also that if you have people, one thing people might say, well, that's great if they're all in the office, but you could use Desktop Central to manage remote computers too, correct?
Correct, yes. There's a secure gateway option, and all it has to do is be configured appropriately the first time, and then the clients, no matter where they are without a VPN, can be managed appropriately. That includes remotely controlling them.
Excellent. So in today's world of people working from home, Desktop Central works nicely as well.
Correct.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, Shaun, for pointing that out. And before we go, I just wanted to say that if a couple of things. One is if you do not have a utility that'll help you manage everyone's computers in your organization. If you don't, then you're probably pulling your hair out, because there's a lot of extra time that you have to put in to try to make sure all your users are updated. We would highly recommend that you check out Desktop Central, see if it works for you, and I'll include a link, but you could go to our website and download a 30-day eval, give it a try, and we can certainly walk you through a demo if you'd want as well, and provide you a quote for your environment to make sure you know how much it'll cost your organization. The other thing is, if you do have Desktop Central, Shaun is the main person here that works with all of our clients. And if you'd like to figure out or learn more about this specific application, or if you have Desktop Central, you don't necessarily are using it to its full potential, would like to tweak it in a certain way, Shaun is the one that would be working with you. So we'll include links, but give us a call or visit us through optrics.com, and we'd love to talk to you about your project and potentially work with you on that. Thank you again, Shaun, for your insight and your time. And we will do more of these we'll call them tech tweaks with the different projects as customers throw out really good questions and show how you might be able to solve those. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And thanks again, Shaun. We'll chat with you again. Bye for now.
Okay, good night.